Hello everyone. As of August 2nd, I've had my Tesla for a year. It's time to discuss how that's gone. In this video, I'm going to discuss fuel costs, maintenance, depreciation, battery health, my experience with the supercharger network, a comparison to my Leaf, and whether or not I'm still happy with my purchase. Spoiler alert, I am. A few stats. I've driven 13,815 miles. My car has consumed 3,069 kilowatt hours of electricity, or 3.1 megawatt hours. That means that my efficiency is 4.5 kilowatt hours per mile, or exactly what you'd expect. It costs $480 to charge. The app says I would have paid about $1,500 in gas over that period, but it's using an inflated average gas cost to make that determination. It's about 80% of that, so I've saved about $800 in fuel costs. As for maintenance costs, I spent $512 on some new tires in June. They were a few years old when I bought the car. I've also refilled the windshield washer fluid. I also had to spend an extra $200 on registration because I'm not paying for road taxes, so $275. My car payment is also $359 a month, though I'm paying more than that to get the loan paid off faster. One way or the other, it'll be paid off in 3 years. I'm also planning to drive this car into the ground, thus making depreciation irrelevant. However, for the purposes of this video, I looked at Kelley Blue Book and got a valuation of $19,463. I paid $17.5K for it after the tax credit, so I could possibly make some money on it. I have no interest in doing so, however. I bought it from a family friend who was kind enough to just ask me to pay off the rest of his loan. I owe about $11K on it, so I'm definitely not underwater. If we calculate the depreciation based on the amount before the tax credit versus $19.5K, which I would argue is a conservative calculation, it's depreciated $2K in my 1 year of ownership, or just over 10%. That brings my total cost for running it up to $10,000. While editing, I redid some of the numbers and decided to redo the presentation, as I am an accountant and I couldn't stand the way it was. As you can see here, if you take out depreciation, car payments, insurance, and 2 years of the tires, the cost is a tenth of what it was. I'm taking out car payments because they're transitory, and insurance because that's very individualized. And I'm taking out depreciation because I would argue that depreciation is irrelevant as I'm driving this car into the ground. And as is usually the case with EV, the most expensive part is insuring it, which makes sense. Maintenance is super cheap, as is fueling. On to the most important part of the car, the battery. The battery has definitely degraded. It's down to about 80% based on the battery testing I did. The battery had about 220 miles of range when I bought it. Assuming it had 263 miles of range when new, I bought it at 84%. If it continues at this range of degradation, I'll get a warranty replacement. However, it's still within the normal range for a degradation, even though it's on the lower half rather than the upper half. The important takeaway is this: it still covers all of my driving needs, and does so easily, and will continue to do so. I've supercharged 8 times. While driving this car, I've never had an issue. While driving a rental that I was using while the Tesla was in the shop, one station wasn't working, but we just drove and found another one. Not a problem. So when I first got my Leaf almost 6 years ago, it reduced our driving of our Prius by about 60%. Now the only time the Prius gets driven is if our Tesla is occupied, or about 3,600 miles a year for the Prius. And let me say, it's a great car. Much like my Leaf, it's trouble-free. I can charge it overnight. Honestly, I have zero range anxiety, and I've arrived home with only 6% of the battery before. It's like a massively improved Gen 1 Nissan Leaf that has better performance, better regenerative braking, has access to the supercharger network, has about 3 times the range, a liquid-cooled battery, more storage, a better sound system. It actually improves over time, and has free telematics. I went over all of this in my video talking about why I bought it in the first place, but it bears repeating. Drawbacks of the year. The one thing that I've had to do, possibly as a result of lower build quality, is tighten a bolt in the door to stop the door from clicking as it opened and closed. It was making this sound. Sometimes the check strap is replaced, but I was able to just tighten the bolt, and the longest part of that repair was struggling to find my socket wrench set. In conclusion, I have no regrets about buying it. It has allowed my family to basically go without gas for our cars. It's super fun to drive, and it puts a smile on my face every day. It's the best car I've ever owned. It should have at least the staying power of my Leaf, which was 9 years, 5 of which I owned it. Again, I intend to drive this car into the ground. Hopefully, I get 200 to 300K miles on this car. That would mean that it will have lasted me 10 or 16 years, including the past year. Worst comes to worst, I replaced the battery after several years, and it still works great. And on that note, happy charging.